Welcome everyone to the top 10 most anticipated comics for November 23rd, 2022. It's the week of Thanksgiving. Guys, I'm Mike Spider Slayer and this is Comic Book Corner 2.0. Hopefully this list helps you make decisions on what comic books to buy because it's never too early to start that pull list for next week. So guys, before we dive into it, I just got to give a quick shout out to the Night Library. So there's nothing wrong with reading free comic books, so why don't you check out the Night Library? Here at the Night Library, you can find free comics, free manga, free graphic novels, and more. Some books already in the archives: Red Hunt, a gritty action-packed story of violence, monsters, and the blood-crazed hunters who seek them out. Some men hunt the monsters, others they become them. Also available, Song of Stone and Warlock. New content is always in the works, and make sure you sign up for the Night Library newsletter for up-to-the-minute updates on latest projects, sweepstakes, and new releases. So not only is the Night Library providing you free comic books, but if you enter your email and join their mailing list, they will send you a free gift. It's a win-win, no risk for you. So check out the nightlibrary.net. I'll leave it in the description box below. All right, so let's kick off this countdown with the hot seat. And the hot seat is the book that I'm thinking about buying, I might not buy, or I could drop after issue 1, and that goes to Kamen Rider 01, issue 1. I don't know, guys. I mean, I think I put this on my FOC to try out the first issue. Kind of has like some kaijo or some mechs fighting each other and whatnot. Kind of reminds me a little bit of some Power Ranger stuff here. I don't know. I'm going to give it a try. I think it might be a little bit of a smaller week when it comes to comic books. So we'll see what happens. This is 32 pages, $4. Next, the book that's on the rise is Rogue Sun, issue 8. I feel like this book doesn't get enough love, and this is a great superhero book within the Image universe. Kind of works side by side with Radiant Black, but they don't cross over too much with each other. And then the last issue was with the issue that we had with a Choose Your Own Adventure. That's what happened in this book, and it was really a lot of fun. And now we're going to get back into the main portion of the story. Has to deal a lot with this boy who just mostly got this power that has this stone, and he's trying to figure out how to be a hero. His dad has been part of his AI and whatnot, and his mother has been evil. You know, it's some of these cliche things that you have seen in superhero comics before, but it does have its own voice and it's very entertaining. I definitely recommend it. 32 pages, $4. Coming in at number 10. Number 10 goes to Punchline, the Gotham game, issue 2. So when it comes to the Gotham game, I thought it was a pretty good book. It wasn't too bad. The only thing was the main plot was once Punchline gets out of jail and she assembles like her gang, it was like, hey, we're going to sell some drugs, but we're going to do it the legal way. We're going to sell it through the pharmacy and over the counter, and it's totally legit. And it's like, okay. And then all of a sudden now, by the time we got to the end of this first issue, we wound up getting to see Bruce Wayne, Batman. And it's like, come on, man, let Punchline be her own book for a little bit before we introduce Batman into this story. Try to get Punchline to the point of where she can hold her own book. I feel this is a very important series for the character if she's going to have legs going forward, right? So we'll see what happens with issue 2 when it comes to her drugs and stuff like that and her new gang. 32 pages, $4. Coming in at number 9, we have always a pretty entertaining book, but I feel like these Spawn stories have lacked story progression. They've been very slow burns. Not much has happened. This is Scorched, issue 12. The final confrontation with Kay and his Sin Devourers is at hand. The Scorched team is clearly outmatched, but someone with a message from the future arrives to help. So we could get another new character, maybe that we've never seen before here, but the same thing applies when it comes to Spawn and Scorched. I don't read King Spawn. Is there has just not been a lot of story progression when it comes to these gates being opened and being closed. It just seems like it's this almost the same thing over and over again. But every time I read it, though, I'm always entertained by the action and almost like the brutality that goes on in this series. And I just like looking at the characters. Just cool, man. And you can't beat the price of $3 comic books. It's so good. Coming in at number 8, we have Daredevil. This is issue 5, the Red Fist Saga Part 5. So we're still in the first story arc, and we're getting to see Elektra and Daredevil. They wound up actually getting married in some weird way in the last issue. Has to deal with something like with the hand or their new world order or whatever it is that they're doing. And it's weird because you got Daredevil in the pages of Punisher right now also. So we're going to see where this goes. I feel like this has also been another book that's been a little bit, I think, of a slow burn or slow storytelling. And it kind of is the same way when it came to volume 1. Like, it took a while to get Daredevil going to the point where it was like, oh man, I gotta read this. So if Chip Zdarsky's developing another story here, I can't wait to see how it does develop. It's just a matter if you know, people are willing to hold on and wait to see when it actually picks up. But the artwork is always good. The story's decent. Just same thing, man. We need some more story progression when it comes to some of these books, you know? It's like, all right, 3 issues. We got what's going on. Let's ramp up the action or the point at this point. So 28 pages, $4. Coming in at number 7, we have Dark Spaces Wildfire, issue 5, done by Scott Snyder. I think this is the conclusion to this series, as we have a correctional officer who leads a bunch of ladies in a fire, right? And they always fight fires, and they had this mission where it was like they wanted to get back on somebody, and the person that was in charge was on board with this, about going into somebody's house that's kind of an asshole and steal all their Bitcoin from their server, right? And things went horribly wrong in this whole ordeal. And then we found out that there's a mole in the group. And you found that out in the last issue. And you're like, oh man, that's bad, right? Can't wait to see how this whole thing ends up. I love all the firefighter references and how they battle fires and how they reference the situation at hand as well. Nice read. This is a $4 comic. Moving on to number 6, we have Out Avengers. This is issue 3. I felt like this has been a little while since this issue came out, or this series came out. And this is the all-action Avengers comic book, right? So last issue, we had Doctor Doom teaming up with the Avengers, facing another Doctor Doom that was a dark version of Doctor Doom. How many times can I say Doctor Doom? Anyway, now in this issue, we have a whole bunch of Red Skulls doing battle against the Avengers. They're all like AI or life model decoys. I should say that instead. When it comes to Red Skulls fighting our heroes here, there is a lot of action. You have Greg Land artwork here. Something's amiss. Like, our heroes can't remember exactly what's going on in their lives. They know something bad has happened, but they can't remember certain things, if that makes sense, right? So, I don't know, man. This is going to be weird. And they also have to team up with the original Red Skulls. So, not only do they have to fight life model decoys of Red Skulls, but they have to team up with the original one. Crazy book. I just don't know where they're going with it yet, but I'm on board. 28 pages, $4. Moving on to number 5, we have X-Men issue 17. I really enjoyed X-Men issue 16. In fact, I think it was like number 3 on my list when I read my comic books for that particular week. And I loved how we had Forge go into the vault, and he kind of had to go undercover in the vault to rescue Laura X-23, who was trapped in the vault like a long time ago, and you totally forgot about that until the end of the last issue. He finds Laura, and she's like all great hair and everything else, and he's got to pull her out of there. So let's see what happens in this issue, if it actually continues that story or they veer off from it a little bit. I'm not sure, but I'm looking forward to it. Last issue was great. We'll see what happens. 28 pages, $4. Moving on to number 4. We We have DC vs. Vampires, issue 11, the penultimate issue. What can I say about this book? It's been very entertaining. I feel like this is the surprise maxi series of the year. This has been going on all year long as we get to see our heroes battle these vampires. We get to see Dick Grayson, who's in charge of the vampires, and are about to take the final stand. You know, so who lives, who dies? We'll find out. 32 pages, $4. Top 3 now. We have Midnight Suns. This is issue 3. This has been great as we get to see Zoe from the Strange Academy see apocalyptic situation where not all of the magic people are going to die, but whoever's not magic, based off of this apocalypse, all these people are going to die. And so our Midnight Suns who have come together here have to find a way to stop this apocalypse from happening. Agatha Harkness is trying to help Zoe. We also wind up finding out that Clea, the current Doctor Strange at the moment, and the Sorcerer Supreme, I should say, wants to take matters in her own hands, and she winds up sending the whole Midnight Suns to the Dark Dimension. So now how does our current team get out of there because Clea is being so selfish about the whole situation? I don't know, man. It's been a fun series. I love the artwork in it as well. Something a little bit different. The roster's cool. 28 pages, $4. All right, moving in to number 2, we have Vanish, issue 3. This has been an interesting story. Oliver's our main character here, who he was a chosen one when he was a kid to get rid of Vanish and all his, I guess, disciples. And he did defeat him, but all his disciples wound up going to Earth, and you learn that in issue 1. And in issue 2, he feels like now he has this responsibility to take care of all these people now that he knows that they're on Earth. He goes to his best friend, asks for advice. His best friend's like, no. He's like, why? You've been living in Earth for how long now? You got a beautiful wife. Why would you do this? And so it looks like Vanish is going to take matters in his own hands, and the bad guys wind up coming together saying that, hey, the chosen one's on Earth here, and we're going to have to take a stand. So pretty interesting book. I love the Ryan Stegman artwork. I think Donny Cates has a interesting story to tell when it comes to this. Kind of gives you a little bit of like Harry Potter vibes, but a little bit darker at the same time. So yeah, we'll check it out and see what happens with issue 3. So after number 1, we're not done, guys, as we're going to talk about those noteworthy comic books. And guys, coming in at number 1, we have The Amazing Spider-Man issue 14. I think this is going to be somewhat of a spec book as we're getting introduced to a new villain here when it comes to The Amazing Spider-Man. And I think her name was, Hallows Eve? Pretty nice looking character, if I should say so. Obviously, she's like another goblin-like character based off of the way she's dressed. I was like, based off of how this whole run is going, wouldn't it trip you out if it's actually Mary Jane who is this character? I don't know. Stranger things have happened, right? I mean, we got Dr. Kafka as the queen, or the goblin queen, or the queen goblin, whatever she is. And then, we got Norman Osborn as a gold goblin. So why not make Mary Jane a freaking goblin as well? Who knows? But you could see that. You're going to get to see the return of Chasm, Madeline Pryor's here, because this is the prelude to the dark web. And I've told you guys this, I'm going to be covering the entire event on my channel. So if you're like, I'm done with Marvel events, but you still want to follow it, check it out right here on Comic Book Corner 2.0. I'll be covering it. So this is legacy numbering 908, guys, 36 pages. So let's move on now to the noteworthy comics. And the first one we have is DC stuff. So we have Detective Comics issue 1066 as it continues this storyline from Rom V. Then we have Action Comics issue 1049. This is part 5 of Kal-El Returns. So we're getting ready to start a new direction when it comes to Action Comics. Then we have Dark Crisis, The Dark Army, Damian Wayne versus the Darkness. This is issue 1. This is a one-shot. I'm not buying any of the tie-ins when it comes to the Dark Crisis stuff. I've seen enough. Then we have a pretty fun book that's not on my most anticipated, but I still read it. This is Sergeant Rock versus the Army of the Dead. This is part 3 of 6. Very fun book if you're just looking for some, quick zombie fix, right? And then we move on to Marvel. This was like one of my most highly anticipated books. It is definitely fallen off my radar for sure. Deadly Neighborhood Spider-Man issue 2. That first issue is god-awful. I mean, holy cow. He goes to Los Angeles and he does this experiment. He's drinking lattes and freaking comes across demon bears and shit. Like, come on, man. God dang. All right, then we go to Star Wars. We have Yoda. This is issue 1. So if you want to, read some adventures of your favorite green one here, check out Yoda issue 1. All right, then we have another Doctor Strange book. This is Doctor Strange Fall Sunrise, issue 1. Very unique artwork on this cover, and I think it's going to be like that inside as well. Kind of reminds me of like Donny Cates' Silver Surfer. Definitely gives me that type of vibe there, so we'll see what that has to offer. Then I just wanted to point out here for some indies, IDW, the final issue, guys, of G.I. Joe, A Real American Hero. This is issue 300. So if you want to get a milestone issue, a conclusion to something that's been part of IDW for a while, and it continued from Marvel series, check out G.I. Joe, guys. That's a huge deal right there. And then we have Creepshow. This is issue 3 for all the horror fans out there. And then last but not least, if you're fans of Red Sonja and you want another Red Sonja title, we have Unbreakable Red Sonja. We're on issue 2. So there you guys have it. There are my most anticipated and noteworthy comic books getting ready to hit store shelves on 11/23/2022. So guys, as always, if you love the content, I'll leave them my top 10 comic book covers of the week where you can vote on your favorite comic book cover. And of course, guys, always remember, keep buying, keep collecting, but always gotta read those comics, man. I'll see you real soon, guys. Take care. Bye.